Today we're talking about this one. Yes, it's finally here. The Animorphs graphic novel, Grine Adaptation Volume 2, The Visitor. I wanted to get this done about a month ago, shortly after the book came out. But I had a problem, you see. I pre-ordered it, and then I waited, and I waited, and I waited some more. And then I waited a little bit more. And eventually I decided, I'm going to check the Amazon tracker. So I did that, and it said, your package may have been lost. Would you like a refund? It would have been nice, Amazon, if you'd sent me a fucking email to say that this occurrence had occurred. But no, nothing. So I was delayed. I had to reorder, and it took another, a week to get here. And then obviously I had to read it in amongst my busy schedule because I'm a busy fucking bloke. I can't just grab a book at any point and read it. I schedule everything. So now here we are, happy mood. Yes, we're all good because we're finally able to look at it. Of course, we've done a book 2 review before, so I'm not going to actually review the contents of the plot, etc. That's all for the book 2 review that I did way earlier on. Let's talk about specifically the Grine adaptation. The first one, The Invasion, was magnificent. It wasn't perfect, of course. I didn't expect perfection. I don't think anybody does. But it's one of the best things we've had in the Animorphs franchise that isn't one of the main books. It's up there with the best animal stuff we've got. I mean, look at the other stuff we've got. Trash! Apart from the pieces of work I've commissioned from artists, the actual merch. Ugh. I still like it though. But anyway, this, Grine has done a marvellous job. The packaging, the actual product, the physical product itself, just like the last book, lovely. Absolutely fantastic. And it's a combination of gloss and matte finish. Rachel's like glossy and the rest is matte. And it's nice and heavy, thick pages, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's not defective in any way. Didn't expect it would be, and if it was, it would probably be Amazon's fault. But yeah, package, spot on, happy. Front cover. I quite liked the front cover of the first graphic novel, but this one, I like even more. And you know why? Because I'd have thought about it, and having just recently finished book 48, The Return, I looked at this front cover again, and what you expect from this front cover is that this round bit here of the shadow, make sure that's in good light, this bit here you'd expect to be Rachel's head, and this person here with the crooked fingers and the wacky hairdo, looks like one of those SJWs on Twitter, you'd expect that to be the guy that confronts her in the alleyway or down the street as it was in the books. More on that in a bit. But then I thought, hold on, that's Rachel's dark side, surely. Super Rachel with the claws. And I think it's a very fitting one because you've got the two shadows of one of just the girl, and then behind her as well is this foreboding, menacing creature with the big claws, the evilness, the darkness. I thought, that's really quite clever. Maybe he didn't mean it, and maybe, like always, it's just me looking too deep into things, because I like to do that. I like to look deep into things. And sometimes I think it leads me down the right path, and sometimes I end up on a path that wasn't meant to be there at all. I hope the former is the case here. The story reads about 99% the same as the actual book 2, The Visitor, which you would expect. Book 1, pretty much the same. There are only a couple of bits that were different. The biggest difference in this one for me is the aforementioned alleyway scene. Because in book 2, what happened was Rachel was walking down the street and some guy that she'd never met before. This is all working on my memory, by the way. It's been about a year since I read book 2, so if I get something wrong, I don't know, sue me. But there's just this random guy, just one guy, starts following her, chasing her down the road. And she starts morphing elephant and turns, and he runs away as Chapman's just about to drive up to her. So she has that panic of, I need to demorph quickly, and she manages to do it just in time before Chapman gets there. Chris Grine has done it differently. And I don't understand why. There are two rednecks in the first part of this book. There they are. These two fellows here. Upstanding citizens. But it's them that are confronting Rachel in the alleyway. If I can get to that particular part of the book. So Rachel bumps into these two again. Now forgive me, but I don't remember it being those two that chased her down the street. And I don't like that because these guys from earlier are clearly not made out to be threatening. They're actually a bit of a joke. Especially this. This is one of my favourite panels in the book, by the way. This one here. And he's got a shirt that just says good on it. And I got really scared and spilled my soda all over my good shirt. And it's just a shirt with good on it. I mean, as far as jokes go, it's very weak. But that's why I like it. It's just such a weird little joke thrown in there. But I actually quite appreciate it. But yeah, those two guys look goofy. And so when we get to this scene and it's the goofy guy back again. And not the random stranger who we know nothing about. It sort of loses a bit of its impact. And not only that, but they go into an alleyway. And then Rachel does her thing. And then demorphs fully. And then walks out. And then Chapman and Melissa are just walking down. Yeah, it's different than it is in the books. But the book had so much more tension in it. Because it was random guy. And because Rachel didn't know if she'd demorphed in time before Chapman saw her. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but that's what it is in my memory. So yeah, not as tense a scene as it should have been. So that's the biggest failing of this particular book, in my opinion. Aside from that, the plot is very much the same. The only things that do change are things that are said. Most of it is exact as it was in the books, but there are a few other parts where it's different. And there are two lines that I didn't like in this book that Chris Grine seems to have added. Again, if my memory is wrong, sue Joe Biden. Fucking deserves it. But yeah, on this page here, where we've got them at the construction site, Visser 3 is there. And Visser 3 is about to leave with Rachel in the cage. And he says, show's over, we're leaving. Show's over is a human turn of phrase, a very human turn of phrase. And I'm pretty sure the Yerks, nor the Andalites, of which he's got one as a host, have the phrase show's over. I don't think that was in the original book, and I just don't like that line. It would be fine coming from a human character because it's a human phrase, but coming from Visser 3, it's like, oh, what? No. And there's one more here, and it's right at the end where we've got the big battle and Visser 3 is the big rock monster. This comes into something that I said in the last book. And I mentioned this on the Animorphs Discord. But it got here. So in the book, just to give context, Rachel's bouncing around and a rock flies and smashes into a Hork-Bajir. In this one, it lands on the Hork-Bajir and there's a big burst of blood, so it's just been completely splattered. And forgive me, I don't think this line was in the book from Jake, just saying gross dude, as if someone's just popped a pimple. You know, you go on those videos like the Pimple Popper or Dr. Popper or whatever her name is. I'm sure some of you watch those videos. It can't just be me and the people in my office. But you watch those videos where you're just looking in on like blackheads and whiteheads and cysts and all that, and they're just popping them. And you're sort of watching it, ugh, that's gross. Ugh, gross, icky. That's the sort of tone I got from Jake there. Hork-Bajir is just splattered, blood everywhere, and he just turns around and said, ugh, gross, dude. Half expect him to just say gnarly after. It was very similar in the last book, where the animals just seem very callous. Very callous, and almost like they enjoy the fight. And when Jake is morphing tiger, I'm not going to show you here, but when he's morphing tiger, he's got a big smile on his face. And I understand that at times the animals do quip and things like that, but the timing seems a bit off for some of these ones that Chris Grine is putting in. the animals just come across as a bit callous, like they're seeing all this death and destruction around them, and they've got a big smile on their face. I just feel that like that is going to feel a bit jarring when/if we get later into the series, and suddenly, oh, all this horror and murder, nightmares. Well, just 5 minutes ago you were fucking smiling about it. Yeah, it just seems a little bit out of place. The character designs is something that a lot of people have mentioned, and I personally I'm not that fussed. There are a lot of characters in this book who are pale-skinned with long blonde hair, and I can see why some people will get those characters mixed up. It's not difficult to see why. Melissa's got blonde hair, Rachel's mum has got blonde hair, and of course Tobias in the last book had long blonde hair. There's a lot of long blonde hair in this book, so I'm not surprised that some people get mixed up. But I navigated that as well as I suppose you could, and I've gotten used to Chris Grine's human designs by this point, so I'm perfectly okay with that. One of the things that I actually noticed in this book, I didn't notice it in the last one, but it might have been the same in the last one. Sometimes I couldn't tell commas from full stops, and I'd read a speech bubble, and I'd get halfway through it and say, hold on, that didn't make sense, and I'd go back and I'd realise, I'd squint and look at it. Oh, it's because it's a full stop, not a comma. Sometimes it's quite hard to tell, because, I don't know, maybe my eyes over the last year since I read that one have gotten worse. I don't think they have, but yeah, a few times I tripped over reading this because I thought a comma was a full stop or a full stop was a comma. Not a big deal, of course, just saying. And the final bit of, it's not so much criticism, it's the same as the last book, and frankly, I can't criticise this book for doing it, because if Chris Grine changed the design of the aliens in this book from that one, that would be particularly jarring and very inconsistent. So Chris Grine had to continue with his alien designs. Taxon designs, I'm happy with. Hawkbridge, they're not arboreal, are they? And I'm just thinking ahead to, if he ever got round to doing the Hawkbridge Chronicles, he is going to struggle to not make it look ridiculous, because they look like Tyrannosaurus Rex. These sort of short, stumpy legs, small arms, and big, fat tails. They're just going to look ridiculous climbing trees. So how he tackles that when eventually he gets around to it, yeah, I've always said that the Hawkbridge design wasn't my favourite. It's not bad, it's better than the TV show designs, but not my favourite. And then, of course, we have Visser 3. The Underlight design. Oh boy. Here comes the Crimson Chin. Look at this one here. Look at, he's showing his chin off for the whole world to see. And I looked at this panel here, and I was reminded of that He-Man meme. Yeah, I think it's He-Man, the one with the like bowl blonde haircut, singing that song. What was that song again? But yeah, it's the exact angle of the face. It looks like that meme with He-Man. And he's just showing off this great walloping chin. It looks ridiculous. And take a look at that. Man, Jesus Christ. Look at that arse. Man needs 5 wheelchairs. Bloody hell, how does he move without walloping great donker on the back of him? Wow, Visser 3, you need some fucking fizz, mate. Jesus Christ, I'm telling you that now. That's fun criticism. Right? Yeah, the Andalite and Hawkbridge designs, not my favourite. But I do get a bit of a laugh out of it as well at the same time. So yeah, in a way, it's all right. Sit there laughing at these alien designs. But yeah, this book, just what I expected, and that's a big thumbs up. Yeah, obviously not perfect, as we've discussed, but a great summation, essentially, of what Animorphs Book 2 was. The only thing I'm very curious about going forward from this book is how we handle character development. Because one thing I realised recently, a couple of days after I first got this, and I skimmed through it a bit, How do we tackle inner monologues? Because especially later on down the series, the character development comes a lot from inner monologues rather than what they're actually saying and doing. How is Chris Grine going to do that? Is he going to have pages of just Animorphs from different angles thinking to themselves? And that's something that I think the first two books have not struggled with, because these books are very plot action based, but in future books, if there's no inner monologuing and you don't get those character moments internally, then you might miss out on the character development. And some bits might be a bit jarring, but I'm sure Chris Grine can handle that. I'm sure he can. And book 3 is going to be very telling for that. The encounter, when that finally comes around next fall. How he deals with inner monologues. Because book 3 is going to be, I assume, a lot of inner monologue. And that will give me an idea of how well he does with it. That's my fiance. Yeah, so when book 3 comes around, we'll get a whole different style of Animorphs book. And I'm looking forward to it. Great job, Chris Grine. Wonderful addition to my Animorphs collection. And it's going to go up here somewhere. Maybe behind... By the way, this is a Kelbrid from my fan fiction series. And of course, the last Animorphs book 54. You can go there, book 2. I will put the Kelbrid back up, though. I'll rearrange so it's a bit more visible. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. This has been the Animorphs graphic novel 2. Fuck's sake, fiance! This has been the book 2 graphic novel review. I hope you tune in for my next video, and eventually, in about a year's time, hopefully 11 months' time, join me for the Encounter graphic novel review, because it is in the works. He's currently working on book 4. So best luck, Chris Grine, with future editions. I hope to see more from you soon, and I hope to see you soon too. Ta-ra! Before you leave, Animorphs fans, there's a couple of things I wanted to add on to this review that I forgot to put in, because I wasn't doing notes when I was doing the graphic novel review. So I missed a couple of things. This is why I have to put little notes on, just to remind myself of stuff I've forgotten. Firstly, Chris Grine, don't think I don't spot your mistakes. You see these two Hawkbajir here? All the Hawkbajir have these shoulder pads on, but they've got these belts that hold them on. This Hawkbajir here, you've forgotten his belt, mate. He's got no belt on. His thing must have just fallen off after that shot. But yeah, don't think I'm not spotting your little mistakes. Yeah. And a much more serious criticism. The very last page here on this top panel. Well, we destroyed a Yerk bug fighter. We made Visser 3 nervous. We never actually see a bug fighter getting destroyed in the battle scene, unless I'm completely blind. There is no bug fighter getting blown up by the Earth Mover, which happened in the book. It happened, yeah, in the books, but there is no bug fighter getting destroyed in the graphic novel. People who are familiar with the series will probably just shrug it off and say, yeah, okay, it happened in the book. But anybody who's not read the books and is reading the graphic novel for the first time is just going to be very confused. We destroyed a Yerk bug fighter. Where? When did that happen? That's, it's not great, but overall, I'm really happy with this, and I'm sure you are too. It's a wonderful addition. If you want to go see some other reviews, because now that I've done my review, I'm going to go watch other reviews. I'm specifically going to watch Pop Arena and Geek Truth 64. I'm going to go watch their reviews. I'll probably find some more as well. But yeah, those two are up there as well. Go check out those reviews, check out their channels, and have a blast. And I shall see you next time. Ta-ra!